Pontiac may no longer exist, but of all the American car brands that have passed, Pontiac seems to have left the most lasting impression. In fact, when I asked people which American car company they would like to see revived, the overwhelming majority of them chose Pontiac. Their bold ideas and desire to push the boundaries of performance and style helped them create some of the most iconic cars of their era. But even more impressive are the cars they never put into production, like the V12-powered Pontiac Firebird Pegasus or the Corvette-rivaling Banshee. So today, we're going to explore 5 of the most daring concept cars Pontiac has ever designed. The 5th car on the list is the Pontiac Phantom, a soulful final design by retiring GM designer Bill Mitchell in 1977. Bill had a long and impressive career at General Motors, where he created many beautiful cars, most notably the Tri-5 Chevys and the second-generation Camaro. Seeing the world changing in the late 70s, with the rise of compact cars lacking soul and road presence, Bill decided to collaborate with designer Bill Davis to create one final masterpiece. This car not only embodied his passion for automotive design, but also offered a glimpse into the future, which he hoped would restore beauty and power to the automotive industry. The Pontiac Phantom was designed in the late 1970s, heavily influenced by the clean lines and powerful presence of 1930s Bugattis and Weissenbergs. The stunning design was based heavily on the Grand Am and was done in secret by designers Bill Mitchell and Bill Davis at Studio X, a secret design area. The final product, however, was just a design concept without an engine or actual working parts, but its beauty was truly impressive. The design refined the basic lines of the Grand Am, creating smoother lines with prominent curves. Finished in gloss black, the car looked mysterious and had a presence on the road like no other. Bill Mitchell sent this prototype to GM's proving grounds for review by management, hoping to get the go-ahead to invest more in building a working version. However, GM President Howard Curl ordered the car removed from the testing grounds before it could be properly evaluated. Bureaucracy got to Bill Mitchell, and he resigned shortly after the incident. If the Pontiac Phantom had been produced, it would have likely used the 400 cubic inch V8 from the 1977 Can-Am, coupled with an automatic transmission, which showed its potential. Despite its stunning looks and the transformation of the late 70s, it probably wouldn't have sold well. The 4th car on the list is the Pontiac Firebird Pegasus. The Pontiac Firebird Pegasus, one of the most interesting concepts the brand has ever created. The project originated from design studies for the second-generation Camaro. Jerry Palmer, one of the designers, came up with the bold idea of combining the grille of the 1958 Ferrari Testarossa with the lines of the second-generation Camaro. Surprisingly, the combination looked very good, thanks to the European lines of the second-generation Camaro, something that the first-generation models could not achieve. Bill Mitchell, then head of design at GM, was fascinated by the idea and wanted to make it a reality. Bill Mitchell realized that this was more of a Pontiac project than a Chevy one, so he tasked the design team with bringing the idea to life, and they did so in 1971. The new Pontiac Firebird Pegasus was the most European-styled car GM had ever produced, so it made sense to give it a powerful engine. In an ideal world, Pontiac could have built its own V10 or V12 for the car, but the budget didn't allow for it. However, Ferrari offered to supply a V12 from the 365 GTC4 for the project, perhaps due to the new competition with Ford that had arisen after the GT40 was released. It was an offer Pontiac couldn't refuse, so the Pegasus was powered by a Ferrari V12 mated to a 5-speed manual transmission and a 410 rear-gear ratio. The Pegasus was an impressive car, truly a symbol for Pontiac if they wanted to take the Firebird into a more upscale sports car segment. Unfortunately, Pontiac never fully committed to producing the new Super Firebird, and as a result, only one Pegasus was ever built. Interestingly, this car was driven by Bill Mitchell until his death in 1988. Fortunately, the Pegasus is still running well and is often displayed at the GM Heritage Foundation. Next up was the Pontiac Stratostar, which was an icon of the jet era and neo-futuristic styling, focusing on creating a high-end passenger car of the future. Designed by Paul Gillian and produced in 1955, The Pontiac Stratostar was a 6-passenger coupe with some very unique styling choices. One of the standout features was the roof rails that opened with the doors, increasing headroom for passengers when entering and exiting. Other notable features included the large front wheel arches, which gave the car a jet-like appearance and also acted as air intakes. The Stratostar also featured self-hung fog lights located under the split front bumper and a complete rear end. The Stratostar's engine was a modified version of the Pontiac 287 cubic inch V8, producing around 235 horsepower, an impressive figure for 1955. With its modern design, powerful V8 engine, and excellent visibility thanks to its slim pillars, the Pontiac Stratostar seemed to offer a glimpse into the future of Pontiac design. It was introduced at GM's Motorama event in 1955 to great acclaim. Although it never made it into production, some of the design cues did eventually appear on other GM models of the period, while the Stratostar concept car was sadly crushed. Next up is the Pontiac Farrago CF428, a car that many people may not have heard of, as I only learned about it while researching for this video. Built in 1969, the Pontiac Farrago CF428 was the brainchild of designer Paul Farrago and automotive pioneer John DeLorean. After plans for the DeLorean Pontiac Banshee were shelved, John DeLorean was looking for a bold new design for the Pontiac brand, while Paul Farrago also wanted to create attention for his car factory. DeLorean's desire for a dramatic Italian coupe fit perfectly with Farrago's goal of promoting his business, so the Farrago CF428 project was initiated. It was based on the Pontiac Grand Prix of the period and was powered by a 428 engine. The engine was rated at around 370 horsepower, or 390 horsepower in the HO version, making the large-bodied coupe a very fast car, even with the hand-formed sheet metal around it. The standard Grand Prix body was stripped down and replaced with a new Farrago-designed body, giving it the look of a cross between a 1971 AMC Javelin and a Mach 1, but with a unique Italian twist. Let me know in the comments if you think these cars borrowed some design cues from the Farrago, since the Farrago came out before them. The CF428 also gets a set of custom wheels designed specifically for the car, although looking at the pictures, I don't think they fit very well. A set of wire wheels would have enhanced the look of the car more than the stock wheels. The interior is largely the same as what you'd find on the Grand Prix, as are the suspension components, brakes, and pretty much everything else. The main difference between this car and many of the other concepts Pontiac produced is that this one is completely roadworthy. The Pontiac Farrago CF428 is a fully operational prototype that still exists today, supposedly owned by Paul Farrago's grandson who still drives it regularly, which is pretty cool. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the Pontiac Banshee XP833. This is a car that I'm sure everyone expected to see on this list, as it's the most talked about and storied concept car that never made it to production. The Banshee was another creation of John DeLorean, who set out to build a new experimental sports car to sit below the Corvette in 1966. At this time, the Camaro hadn't yet hit the market, but was about to, and needed a car to fill the gap between the Camaro and the Corvette. After all, the Camaro and Firebird were both 4-seat pony cars, not 2-seat sports cars. The idea was to have another 2-seat sports car in the lineup, especially as cars like the AC Cobra were gaining popularity. With the idea that more competitors would emerge, Pontiac needed a car to compete. The plan was to combine the Corvette's lightweight fiberglass construction techniques with Pontiac's sporty inline-six engine, creating a lighter and more cost-effective alternative to the Corvette in GM's lineup. This engine was a new 1966 Pontiac engine, a 230 cubic inch unit with a single overhead camshaft, and in the top trim it could produce 215 horsepower, matching the Sprint version of the Firebird. Unfortunately, the Banshee concept was only offered with the base 165 horsepower version of the engine, presumably to make the car seem slower than it was intended, lest Chevrolet worry about it cannibalizing Corvette sales based on speed. Still, even with the 165 horsepower engine, the Banshee was a light car, weighing in at around 2,200 pounds and riding on a wheelbase of just 91 inches. Despite the lack of an independent rear suspension, the Banshee clearly had potential. There was also a Banshee prototype with a 326 cubic inch V8 built to test the performance of a V8. The original Banshee concept would have sat on a custom chassis, using parts from the GM parts store for cars like the 1964 Tempest and others for most of its suspension components. The rear of the Banshee used a 10-bolt axle from the Tempest, which was equipped with a Watts linkage for improved handling. However, regardless of the improvements Pontiac made to the Banshee, the decision to put the car into production was entirely up to the top brass at GM. When the car was introduced, they decided to cancel the project and not provide any further funding, leaving the Banshee as an idea that never made it to fruition. Fortunately, the Banshee concept still exists today and has been listed for sale for over $1 million. Thanks for watching, and more importantly, let me know which of these cars is your favorite in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, we would appreciate it if you could give it a like and share it with other enthusiasts. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Rare Luxury Cars YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our amazing documentaries about the world's most interesting cars. See you in the next videos.